The idea was, is that if you have a bolt-on neck, then it allows light wood to be throughout the body, and light wood resonates low frequencies. To me, it's warm and big. And so this light body with a bolt-on has the perfect mids that I want. And I don't want any mid adjustment, it's all there, So the only thing you might need, depending on the amp or the room, would be lows or highs, And those we kind of tweaked, frequency-wise and slope-wise with Bill to be exactly, what I think it should be. Normally comes with 2 switches and a potentiometer. And the potentiometer is used as a switch sometimes. So I wired those to be here. So right now, when I'm not using Ableton Live, and then I'll just use it for patch change, so I can go up and down. And I'm not using the third button. When I'm using Ableton Live and looping and stuff like that, then this is assigned to scenes. So we have the music prepared, we're jamming, blah, blah, blah. The next section comes up, then I just hit a button and it goes, it launches, So I can navigate up and down scenes, down, up, or launch with the 3 buttons. So, and just before the tour, I, this is the pickup here. Normally it's a big, ugly, no, compared to the way the bass looks, I prefer this really, streamlined, so I actually cut it, I just covered it with tape, and it's wired through here. And I made this install here. So instead of going through this way, I made a little carbon fiber bracket that allows you to plug it in. It just so happens the very first bass that the signature instrument was based on was this bass with a rosewood fingerboard that I finished myself. But at that time, Ibanez it was the first time I've ever done any signature basses. So they were kind of hesitant about how much to invest and how much the price was going to be in the price range. So they said, okay, we can't put a finish on it. It's too labor intensive, and we don't know whether this is going to work or not. So the first version was done with the ebony fingerboard, and I worked with Bartolini, and we dialed the electronics to compensate, to get a little brighter, because the finish on a rosewood, is a nice bright sound, or it's enough warm bright sound. The ebony is a little darker, so we altered electronics. And then when we came out with the GWB 35, the black one, that was with an ebonol fingerboard, synthetic. And I thought that was closer to the finished rosewood, so we put that on this bass, and it was there until last year. And finally, they felt comfortable enough, with its niche where it was in the market, that we could do the ultimate, to me, perfect finish on it. So that's kind of the history of the latest change that we made to it. When we first did the instrument, I always had light bodies, and the tuners would always weigh the bass down and make it off balance. So I did this mod myself, where I put knobs in place of the wings, to up here, so it kind of looked like mag wheels on your bass. And so Ibanez did some patent searches and found out that somebody had a patent on round and parallel, so we couldn't do the knob. So their engineers came up with this 3 kind of triple wing design, but actually the first version didn't have a place for your finger. It was kind of rounded, but it was like a big kind of triangle. And so they sent me a prototype, and I got a file, and I started hacking on it, and now, you can stick your finger in there and just kind of twirl it on or off, But it was a big deal 15 years ago that CNC was not really readily available, and it was to make a second mold with my adaptations, was going to cost like $10,000 or something like that, But I begged, I got practically on my knees, and they did this version. So this is ABS plastic with a plating, with a coat of metal on it. So it's still light, but it's durable, and in a gig bag, it doesn't get knocked out of tune so easy. So that's one unique thing about it. The other thing is the ramp. I originally got the idea when I put two jazz pickups next to each other. It was like kind of a fad back in the 80s. And I didn't like the sound, but because I was playing with three fingers, I liked the way it felt, you know, for having that contact place. And a lot of bass players play over the pickup for that reason, for a place for your thumb and a place to kind of feel where you are. I think there were DiMarzios at the time. And DiMarzios had this option where you could raise the pole pieces higher in the middle to compensate for the radius, because the middle strings are higher. So I would do that, but those screws were sharp. And I was like losing, the end of my fingers was like getting cut to pieces. So I punched some holes in some tape and built up this kind of protective radius to keep my fingers from being cut. And that became like kind of this surface that the next bass I got, instead of putting two pickups, I just put a piece of wood there. You know, so it gave my fingers a place to be. And over the years, it just kept getting bigger. And finally, once I got rid of the front pickup, it just, from there to there. So when I had the opportunity to design the bass, first I worked with Bartolini. We went through about, honestly, like 40 versions of this pickup, you know. But one of the main things is that it's radius to match the fingerboard. And then inside, there's really specific control of the coil height. So for me, I want the B string to be the loudest, you know, so I don't have to play it as hard. So that's the way the strings are balanced within. And then also, as it gets to the G string, it moves away from the bridge a little bit. And to me, it warms up the G string. So it's about a 5 millimeter difference as you get to the G string to warm up the sound of it. And then that's matched, that radius is matched with the ramp. So depending, you know, if your fingers are really thick or thin, you can adjust it to have just enough string to get the sound you want without the temptation of digging in, which is, the way that I play is really light, you know, so, I mean, I can probably play without it, but it's, you know, it's just reinforces that style of playing where you get big sound from the amp, but you play soft here.